Oh boy. Welcome into a Friday edition of the Farzy Show. My name is Mark Farzetta. This is the Farzy Show presented by Steven Singer of Steven Singer Jewelers. And what a Friday show we have for you today. Oh man, what a couple spicy meatballs for you. One, the bouncing ball continues with James Harden. Just when you get like a little morsel of clarity, a conflicting report comes out. Like, here's a report, let's conflict with it. Here's another report, let's conflict with that. Oh, it's not good. It's good if you don't want James Harden here. So that part of it's good. And I remember fishing a wish going into this offseason. My fishing wish was, hey, it's the Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey Sixers. Let's go. Let's party. Let's see what we got. So we might still get that. We're still going to get something in return as a 76ers fan base for James Harden. But it's just not going to be maybe as good, even as good as we thought it was going to be. And I don't think anyone really thought it was going to be that good anyway. Anyway, James Harden wants out again. And it's not a nice way out. It's I could be a total, I could be a dick about it. I could be a total dick about it. I've done it in the past. I can do it again. So we'll get into that conversation. And all of a sudden, the Phillies, ladies and gentlemen, forget about $243 million they're already spending. Shohei Ohtani, come on down. Juan Soto, come on down. The Phillies could become the evil empire. The Phillies could become the evil empire. And I am absolutely 1,000,000,000% here for it. Let's sign everybody. The only stipulation is you really either you have to be incredible, you have to be compared to Babe Ruth, or you have to have sometime played for the Washington Nationals, and you can play for the Philadelphia Phillies at top dollar. This is bonkers to me. The report came out for John Heyman yesterday that, the Phillies, in early speculation, could be suitors for Juan Soto in the not-too-distant future. I don't know. The guy, I thought it was just a reference to him flying back on the plane and how Heyman is, pretty well connected to the baseball circles. And legitimately thinks there's a chance that Juan Soto, who is playing actually pretty damn well for the Padres, he is an all-star. Could be with the Philadelphia Phillies with Trey Turner and Bryce Harper here in Philadelphia. Oh, my goodness. Now, I know the speculation early here is the free agency part of it, but why not this year part of it? We'll get into that conversation. And Shohei Ohtani. Yes, the Phillies are willing to spend money. And anytime I think a team that's been a contender and is willing to spend money will be linked to some pretty huge free agents. And Shohei Ohtani has been one of those free agents that has been mentioned in the same sentence as the Phillies. I don't think it has a lot of credibility per se, but yesterday on MLB Network, one of their analysts, Dan Plesac, also talked to him. Yes, he played briefly for the Phillies. Dan Plesac said that Shohei Ohtani and the Philadelphia Phillies would be a very good fit. You could look at this in a couple of ways. One, with new ownership involved with the Phillies, still John Middleton running the ship, so to speak. There could have been a way where maybe, with a little bit of a restructure, maybe, this is total speculation, maybe the Buck Cousins thought, you know what, this has been great. I think this is as far as we want to take this thing, and you guys take over from this point on with the amount of money that you guys are about to spend. We'll still keep our small investment, or well, not small, but maybe we'll go smaller investment here. And we'll be out. These guys will be in along with John Middleton, and they're going to be spending the crazy, stupid money that has been talked about. It'd make that stupid money just seem even dumber, basically. When you think about the possibility of adding a guy like Shohei Ohtani, what he could cost, and of course adding a guy like Juan Soto, whatever he's going to cost, paired with two $300 million deals that are already on your team. $300 million to Trey Turner, $330 million to Bryce Harper. The interesting thing, and I pointed this out yesterday, is that Juan Soto is only on a one-year, $23 million deal. So even if you got him as a rental this year, I think that would just lead you to believe more that he might not just be a rental. He might, get here, like it here, and then stay here. And no, not for a discount price either, by the way. But we'll go over his numbers and what he's been doing this year because it is absolutely phenomenal, and the on-base percentage itself is just incredible. So we'll get all that. Jaden Springer yesterday. had the opportunity to win a game for the Sixers. Ball was in his hand at the end of the game. He passed it off. He felt like he couldn't get the shot off, and they missed and they lost. But Jaden Springer yesterday, full arsenal. All the stuff we were talking about in the Summer League a couple days ago with what he could be doing in the Summer League as far as taking steps forward and showing off, finishing off around the rim a little bit more and being a little bit more of playing like a man, not playing like a boy anymore, but playing like a man. He certainly did that yesterday. Very aggressive game yesterday from Jaden Springer in the Sixers Summer League game against the Atlanta Hawks Summer League squad. So we'll get into that conversation as well. And a couple of things I really want to see the Phillies do in the unofficial second half of the season. So that's what we got on the Friday Farzy Show edition today. Let's start it off with James Harden, ladies and gentlemen, because yesterday we followed the bouncing ball. We followed this from Dave McMenamin of ESPN when he was on the Dan Patrick Show, saying how he was talking to a lot of people out there, and they all said that James Harden is to be back with the 76ers as of right now, with no momentum appearing on a deal with the LA Clippers. Okay. Then Ramona Shelbourne, very same day on ESPN, says this. Harden's stance has not changed, according to a source. He still wants to leave Philadelphia. He's still upset with how Morey handled his situation heading into possible free agency last month, and even with recent revelation that Harden attended the NBA's the Michael Rubin party in Las Vegas. Whoops, wrong thing. Sorry. This is Ramona Shelbourne. James Harden has spoken to Daryl Morey since his first trade request, and granted, this is a request. I want to highlight that. Ramona Shelbourne said this is a request. So it's not a demand, it's a request. Then Sam Amick came in here. I'm pushing buttons, folks. Harden's stance has not changed. Still upset with Morey and how he handled the situation heading into possible free agency last month. Even with the current revelation that Harden attended the Michael Rubin party and was partying with Joel Embiid, he's still determined to start next season in a Clippers jersey. Folks, we've acknowledged multiple times that Daryl Morey is going to play the long game. We've acknowledged he wants to play the long game. I beg Daryl Morey not to play the long game, as in the Sixers report for camp and James Harden is still here. I want from day one the Sixers to do what I've wanted them to do since they walked off the court against the Celtics. Make this the Tyrese Maxey, Joel Embiid 76ers. Have that quote-unquote gap year. Have that year where you're not really aggressive in free agency. Patrick Beverley, Nick Nurse, those are your biggest acquisitions, as we've said many times. Fine, Montrezl Harrell, fine, Mo Bamba, whatever. Give Joel Embiid all the days off you can. I don't care about the regular season anyway. I think most Sixers fans just say, get to the playoffs and run through the playoffs. Make a deep run in the playoffs. Get to a championship. I know the second round is not the bar. I understand that. But if the Sixers run it back with Tyrese Maxey, Joel Embiid as the 1-2 punch on this team, and Tobias Harris being more of a contributor in a Nick Nurse offense, I am 1,000% fine with that. I don't need Joel Embiid to be another MVP. I need Joel Embiid to play a better brand of basketball in the playoffs. Above all else, I need to be as fresh and as healthy as possible come the playoffs. I don't want this other year of James Harden. I've never wanted this other year of James Harden. I had to come to terms with it when it looked like he was going to be back. The reason I don't want the Sixers to play the very long game, like going into the season long game with James Harden still on this team, is because I don't want them to go into camp and then start the season and get into this groove, get into this style, and then a major piece gets taken out of your starting five and somebody else gets put in. I don't want that. I don't want them to have to go through some kind of chemistry change like that. I want them to have the whole season in order to get on the same page, build that chemistry, and understand one another on the team, and Nick Nurse understand how to run the talent that's around him. That's what I want to see. The other reason is you're not going to get much for Harden anyway. You trade for him now, it's not going to be that much of a difference. You're not getting Paul George. You're not getting Kawhi Leonard. Norman Powell, I don't think you're going to get a lot. And when we've spoken to people, most recently we spoke to Kai Carlin of USA Today, he said you're not going to be getting those big hauls. Nicholas Batum might be a guy that you get. Cool. Marcus Morris. How many edgy guys do you want to get on this squad between PJ Tucker, Patrick Beverley, and Marcus Morris? Hey, I would love Philly to come to Philly. I'll tell you that right now. And you can certainly take the kid out of Philly. You can't take the Philly out of the kid. And even though Marcus Morris had all those years with the Celtics and they were spanking the Sixers, even then with the Marcus Morris, not that they were the Marcus Morris Celtics, but you get what I'm saying. I love that edge. I'd love to see it here in Philadelphia. You got it here in Philadelphia. But that's not a big return on a trade for James Harden. I would love for the Sixers to go in the direction of a pick more than anything. And I know they can't just do that. Money's got to match all that stuff. But for me, I never wanted him here to begin with. I never wanted them back to begin with. So if you trade now versus if you trade a month into the season, yeah, you might be able to get Norman Powell. You might, maybe, but I highly doubt it. Highly doubt it. And for me, I want it to be over as quickly as possible. And I think the most logical thing is for the Sixers to make a deal right before training camp starts up. That's the most logical thing, I think, for the Sixers to do. I don't want a reset button somewhere a couple of months into the season. I don't want a reset button somewhere at the trade deadline. I want it with as much time as possible for these guys to know what their next move is going to be and how they are going to organize this talent and how Nick Nurse is going to organize this talent. So I beg Daryl Morey, go ahead. Play the not right now game. Go ahead, play the not right now game. But please don't play the very, very long game where we're dragging this out into the season. Please, I beg you, don't make a trade at the trade deadline that involves James Harden and it'll change your starting five drastically. Make the move right before the season starts. Make the move right before you get together at camp, right before you get together in Camden. Make the move then. I don't want 2 of the last 3 years with Ben Simmons and James Harden. I don't want there to be epic, kajunga, huge, ginormous moves right before the deadline. I think it would help you more than hurt you to not play the long game here. Go ahead. Don't play the not right now. Go ahead and play the not right now game. Not right now. Fine. Not right now. A lot of time left in the offseason. But also, please, I beg, don't play the extremely long game that you did with Ben Simmons. Because I don't think you're going to get a huge return when it comes to James Harden. I don't think look, you're not. You weren't beginning of this. You're certainly not now. So I think it just helps the Sixers to turn the page. And I think we are getting increasingly close to the possibility of building around Tyrese Maxey instead of building around Joel Embiid. And I think that's something that is we haven't talked about enough in this offseason. Well, we've talked about Joel Embiid not having a lot of good years left. And that's to take into consideration that Joel Embiid's not your typical 7-footer, of course. He can shoot from the outside. He can shoot from the elbows. He's got a great game in that. He gets fouled a lot, goes to the line. He can play this style of basketball for a long time. But as far as playing it at an MVP level, maybe he's got 2 more years left. Maybe he's got 3 years left. At what point do you start to focus more on Tyrese Maxey? Granted, the unforeseen doesn't happen, and they make the trade with Dame Lillard, and somehow the Sixers creep into that conversation, really creep into the conversation, where maybe Damian Lillard's got to expand the teams that he'd willingly go to. Because right now, again, it's early in the offseason, and everyone's, we're digging our feet in. This is where we're moving. We're not budgeting for anybody. Okay, talk to me in a month. See where you're at then. Talk to me in 2 months. See where you're at then. But if the Sixers stand pat as to where they are right now, I am 1,000% fine with running it back without James Harden, mixing somebody else in your starting 5 here. Maybe you get somebody else in another trade. Maybe you get something back in the James Harden trade that you can put in your starting 5. I don't know what it is yet. Well, I don't know what that is yet. Maybe it is a 3-team deal that does not involve the Blazers. Maybe it's the Clippers, the Sixers, and somebody else. Maybe you get somebody else that can come in here and be a point guard, a shooting guard for you. I mean, so maybe somebody else that comes in the shooting guard or the guard, plays the guard position along with Tyrese Maxey. Maybe that changes. But I don't think it's going to be a big enough deal for someone to come in here and compete with Maxey and Embiid as a number 2 scorer even. You're going to be looking at a guy that's going to be playing more of a role of a facilitator than anything else. That's what I think you're going to be looking for. That's what you're going to be looking to when the season starts up. If they make this trade with James Harden before the season actually starts. Before training camp. Right before training camp, maybe. My prediction, though, is that they wait. And that James Harden, my prediction still is that James Harden has not played his last game as a 76er. He might have 10 more games left as a 76er, but I don't think there are many, but I don't think he's played his last. So somewhere in between there. Maybe 10 or 20 more games as a 76er, and then he'll be traded. But that's where I'm at right now on this Harden deal, as the Sixers are still trying to figure this out. If I think most of us can fish our wish, I think most of us would want James Harden out. Something in return, which is still good. Hopefully an asset for down the line. And then after that, Maxey and Embiid take this team as far as they can, and we really see if Maxey can be that number 2 guy. The name I have brought up time and time again is Jamal Murray. Be a versatile scorer like Jamal Murray. Be the perfect, and I hate this analogy, but I know it's an easy portrayal for everyone to make. It's a thing to imagine for everybody. Be the Robin to the Batman, and then maybe in a couple years, Maxey takes over as the Batman. So that's the plan right now. But it just seems like every time things start to go one direction where, oh, yeah, Harden can totally be here and it's totally fine, it goes to another direction of, what was the word again Sam Amick used of The Athletic here, courtesy of NBA Central? Still determined to start next season with the Clippers. This question is still not answered. Daryl Morey and James Harden. What went wrong? James Harden helps the Sixers out going into last year by taking a $15 million pay cut to stay with the Sixers. Now, there's some back channel things. There's some things that happened maybe off the books that helped James Harden make that decision from a financial standpoint, maybe. But as of, he took $15 million less to play here in Philadelphia. Then he opted into his deal. Then he opted into his player option at about $35 million, meaning the Sixers would have the right to trade him and get something in return, where he could have opted out and saw free agency and did whatever the hell he damn well pleased. So that doesn't make a lot of sense to me. But maybe he was trying to help his boy out under the idea that they're both on the same page, that, yeah, I'll opt in. You get something in return for trading me. The last, the farewell gift, the good but parting gift for James Harden. Apparently that's not the case. So where did it go wrong with the communication between Daryl Morey and James Harden? These guys are supposed to be, buddies. What was it? Daryl Morey's daughter was wearing like a James Harden number at a graduation or something like that. Like, these guys are supposed to be pals. These guys are supposed to have great communication. These guys are supposed to talk even when they're not supposed to talk. A little thing called tampering. But for whatever reason, the biggest decision they have to make on their working relationship, they have the biggest miscommunication, or maybe just one ignored the other. I don't know. But this just seems really odd for two guys that are supposed to be very much on the same page and are supposed to be tight. I don't know if James Harden feels like he's been betrayed by Daryl Morey, or Daryl Morey feels like he's been betrayed by James Harden. I don't know. I just find it very odd that this is where it's come to. Houston, James Harden wanted out, he got out. Brooklyn, James Harden wanted out, he got out. Now James Harden is here with apparently a friend in Joel Embiid and a friend in Daryl Morey, and he still wants out. He said that the Sixers were always his number one choice leaving Houston. Now the Clippers are apparently his number one choice as a team he wants to suit up with next year in the upcoming season, I shall say. This just seems like if he really wants to be somewhere, he's going to be somewhere. And it seems like right now he's got a good amount of pull to do it. The word determined is what really gets to me from Sam Amick. Determined. Break out the fat suit. I wasn't even, Carlo talked about the throwing basketballs at people. All right, let's not do that. Hopefully the relationship between him and Daryl Morey isn't as bad as throwing basketballs at people. Hopefully it's not him showing up in training camp with sweatpants and his alleged cell phone in his pocket running drills. Hopefully that's not the case. Hopefully it isn't Ben Simmons 2.0. Hopefully the Sixers do get something back in value. But whatever it happens, again, I'll go back to the main point. Daryl Morey, please, you can play the not right now game. Please don't play the very long game. Please don't play the trade deadline game. And also, I don't want this to stress. I don't even like talking about this now. You think I want to talk about this when the season starts? Yeah, I'm actually, I just still waiting to see what he can do without James Harden here. And here we are, 20 games into the season. James Harden's still here. Maybe James Harden will do us that favor. Well, he will be that much of a smacked ass. He'll put on that much of a show. He'll be that much of a distraction where the Sixers do finally say, hey, thanks, but no thanks. See you later. I'll cross my fingers for that one. So that's where we're at with that bouncing ball. Let's talk about this for a second. Dan Plesac on the MLB Network put this into the atmosphere yesterday, talking about Shohei Ohtani. They have some very enticing young players, and Dave Dombrowski is an old school mold. They got a taste of the World Series last year, and they want to get back this year. They're in the rental category. I think they're in. On Shohei Ohtani, here's the deal, folks. As much as I would love to see Shohei Ohtani in a Phillies uniform, in red pinstripes, and playing for the Phillies and all that stuff, the rental category for the Philadelphia Phillies is a little scary for me, considering what you would have to give up for a rental player in Shohei Ohtani. Now, I referenced yesterday that a lot of guys, Japanese players, people from that part of the world, they want to stay on the West Coast. Ichiro's a perfect example of that. But as their careers go on, yeah, you play for the Yankees, you play for the Marlins, you venture out a little bit, you get a little bit more comfortable elsewhere. And that's fine. Maybe Shohei Ohtani is already in that spectrum. Maybe he's already in that line of thinking that he wants to play elsewhere, that he'd be comfortable playing on the West Coast. And if the Yankees say, here's $400 million, here's $450 million, and they throw that in his face, then, yeah, Shohei Ohtani, I think, is going to think, oh, New York, that's what's another 6 hours on a plane? You know, that could very be what happens. The way I see it, the Sixers are in a spot, the Phillies are in a spot where they have a lot of money tied up already. They're going to need to rely on a lot of the younger guys. And you think about it like a guy like Ohtani, maybe you sign him anyway in the offseason. You think about a guy like Juan Soto, maybe you sign him anyway in the offseason. These guys are going to be free agents. So why would I give up guys that I could have a really good shot at getting? Why would I give up guys like, this is just saying, Andrew Painter, Justin Crawford, Griff McGarry? Why would I give up any of these guys? Ricardo Perez, the 19-year-old catching prospect. Why would I give up any of these guys? Why would I give up any of these guys if I could potentially sign Ohtani or Juan Soto in the offseason? Well, what about this year? Well, here's the thing. Of those two names, the one that makes the most sense, I think, is Juan Soto. Not going to cost a lot of money. You're going to have to pay a prorated of the $23 million he's making after his one-year salary arbitration agreement. So that's next to nothing. The problem with that, though, is you were going to have to give up something. You're going to have to give up a McGarry. You're going to have to give up one of your top prospects. And of those guys that I mentioned, Andrew Painter, 9, Mick Abel, 43, Justin Crawford, 86. That's their ranking, not just with the Phillies, but in the top 100 on MLB Pipeline. Even higher than that now, actually, with some guys that have already been called up. So you're looking at Abel being in the top 40. You're looking at Justin Crawford being about in the top 80. So these are significant prospects that you'd be giving up for trading for a guy like Juan Soto. I'm not doing that for a rental. When you already have a lot of money tied up in some of your leaders that are here already, and guys like Trey Turner that you still have yet to see, the guy that you signed, You haven't seen $300 million yet from from Trey Turner. You have not. Getting on base in the month of June, that was good. That's still not $300 million. So if you're going to be parting ways with any of these guys, you're not doing it for just a rental. No, I'm all about winning now. I love winning now. I don't like waiting. Patience isn't really my thing. But sometimes you got to be a little patient. When it's the right strategy to go with, especially when you already have a lot of money tied up, you're going to need these guys like Alec Boehm and Bryson Stott to be, $500 million or $500,000 players for a little while you're paying the big bucks. Some of these other guys, you're going to need that bargain low, basement low money in the basically for the foreseeable future, especially with Trey Turner at $27.5 million. Now, Juan Soto is going to be another very expensive guy. But if you're willing to take on another $300 million plus contract, whoo, baby, Juan Soto just might be the guy worth it. Looking at it this year, one of his best batting averages, he's batting .265 this season. He's got 15 home runs through 90 games. And how about this on base percentage? 3. Oh, what? No, it doesn't start with a 3. It starts with a 4. A .419 on base percentage. An outfielder, Kyle Schwarber, be your designated hitter. Oh, yeah. Yeah. When you talk about the Phillies making an acquisition at the trade deadline, this is a nice acquisition to make. It's going to cost you. You're going to be giving up talent. You might even be giving up, I hate to say it, you might be giving up a guy like Boehm in this deal. Now, who plays third? Edmundo Sosa becomes your third baseman, your full-time third baseman. He'd be your, there's Pedro Feliz. He won the World Series with you at third. It's going to be, he doesn't have to be your best player. It has to be a defensive player. So Sosa's been better defensively, by the way, for this Phillies team. Since I'd say that Dodgers series, I think he's been a lot better. It's going to be a lot. But I find it very interesting that the Phillies gave him a ride back. And look, yes, they're playing the Padres. So it makes sense to a certain degree. They're playing the Padres, fine. But how are you not supposed to tamper if you give a guy a ride back from the All-Star game? What do you think happens? Just play a card game? I don't think so. That's a long flight. Seattle to Philly? That's a long one. I hated that flight. But nonetheless, the idea that the Phillies are even being mentioned in the name of a guy like Shohei Ohtani, and the fact that it's getting some momentum from the MLB Network, and the fact that Juan Soto could be in a Phillies uniform. Now, we talked about Shohei Ohtani wanting to be closer to, the homeland. One of the things John Heyman cited was not just the idea that Juan Soto has familiarity with Kevin Long, not just the idea that he's familiar, of course, with Trey Turner, not just the idea that he's familiar with Bryce Harper, but also the idea that he'd be closer to the Dominican Republic. Guys like to be close to home. I think these guys can afford really nice plane rides, but apparently they still nothing they can't change. Something they can't change is maybe 2-3 hours closer, depending on where they are in the world. Apparently that really, really matters. I don't know what the flight is. I haven't looked it up. I would imagine it's like 5 hours from San Diego to the DR. I would imagine from Philly, it's 2.5, 3 maybe. That's what I would expect. But I can't imagine that having that much of an impact. I can't imagine it having that much of an impact on a guy signing for millions of dollars wherever he's going to play. Hundreds of millions of dollars wherever he's going to play. $300 million wherever he's going to play. I can't imagine a couple hours more on a plane ride would really factor in all that much. But apparently it does. So that's where we're at right now as far as this Phillies squad goes, and a couple of names that are being thrown about as of right now. But a couple of names you haven't heard as far as prospects go for the Phillies. You've heard the names Griff McGarry before, the right-handed pitcher at AA right now. Andrew Painter, of course, you've heard, 19 years or now 20 years old. Mick Abel, another right-handed pitching prospect. Justin Crawford, of course, just played in the Futures game. Hao-Yu Lee, second baseman, 20 years old. Johan Reyes is another guy to take a Rojas, is another name you can keep track of. And Alex McFarland, a right-handed pitcher. He's 22 years old. A couple of names right there to keep track of. I forget how he says his name, but Simon Mucciotti. the outfielder at AAA right now. He's 24 years old. He's having a great year at AAA. He seems to be a guy that no one's talking about coming up, so maybe a giant hole in the swing. I don't know, but he seems like he's having a great year at AAA. But those are all names. Maybe Jake Cave is a name that gets floated out there as well. But there's a bunch of names out there that the Phillies will be using most likely in a trade deadline scenario. As far as starting off the second half of the season tonight, a couple of things that I am really wanting to see tonight. One is a tactical thing that could snap your fingers and it could happen. I've said all throughout this last week, it's not going to happen, but what I want to happen, I got to have Bryson Stott back at the top of the order. As I've said, I don't think Rob Thompson pulls the trigger on that right out of the gate. I don't think Rob Thompson uses the All-Star break as a reset button and says, okay, coming out, Schwarber, you're going to bat fifth. I don't think that's going to happen. I think he's going to give Kyle Schwarber time to adapt. We'll find out today, this afternoon, before the 6:05 start time against the San Diego Padres, against Juan Soto and the Padres. We'll find out tonight whether or not Bryce Harper is at first base, in fact, or not. But as of right now, what's I think needs to happen is you need to make that adjustment in the lineup of Kyle Schwarber moving down and Bryson Stott back at the top of the order. I feel like the guys just continued to hit. And I feel like Rob Thompson says two things that lead me to believe Bryson Stott's going to return to that order, top of the order, at some point in the very near future. Two things is Bryson Stott can hit anywhere in the lineup. So that includes leadoff. The other thing that Rob Thompson says is he loves the intimidation factor of Kyle Schwarber at the top of the order, where a pitcher has to be on his toes and has to go to bed and wake up that morning knowing that he is going to face Kyle Schwarber first and foremost in the Phillies lineup, and you got to be on your toes. Look, I know it's not exactly home run power here that he's putting at the top of the order when he puts Bryson Stott up there, but he's possible. It's not like the guys. It's not like the guys at Ozzie Smith. You know what I mean? That's a hell of an old reference. But anyway, if he has Bryson Stott at the top of the order, I think the other pitcher is knowing that he's going to have to – it's not going to be an easy at bat. It's going to be a prototypical leadoff hitter. He's going to be seeing 7, 8, 10 pitches. He's going to be seeing a guy that can get on base. He's going to see a guy that can hit doubles for you. He's going to see guys that if he gets on base with a walk, a hit, whatever, he can steal a base. I think a pitcher's thinking about that too. And then he's thinking about, no, then I got to deal with Trey Turner. And although Trey Turner hasn't had a great year, far from it, as a matter of fact, still, in a lot of pitchers' minds, you don't want to face Trey Turner. Then you got to face Bryce Harper. Then you got to face Nick Castellanos. I told you yesterday, I'll tell you again, going into the second half of the season, a couple of things I'm looking for. One, Bryson Stott at the top of the order. After that, I want to see Stott, Turner, Harper, Castellanos, Schwarber. Right after that, the only thing, those are all tactical things. You snap your fingers, you can make that happen. The other rely on how other people are going to perform. Bryce Harper at first base, be serviceable. Something else I want to see in the post-All-Star break portion of the season. And then JT Realmuto, man, we have gone over the splits for him. 10 games great, 20 games terrible. 10 games amazing, 5 games awful. 10 games great, 20 games, what the hell is he doing? Especially from the offensive standpoint. And I'll go back to it from last year. When he came back from not playing in that Blue Jays series and went into Florida and played against the Marlins, played against Miami, he was a totally different player. And he seemed like a different player for the rest of the season. He seemed like that guy that we've mostly referred to as the best catcher in baseball. He returns to that. We're golden. We're absolutely golden. That's what the lineup needs to do. Alec Boehm, I pray that power comes back to that position. Another name I saw floated out there as far as the trade deadline deal goes is Nolan Arenado with the Cardinals. We mentioned the Cardinals yesterday as far as their president of baseball ops talking about how they're going to be making trades. It may not be players of note, but they're going to be making trades. The interesting thing with Nolan Arenado, you look at like 27 million, $27 to $35 million he's going to be earning over the next couple of years here. The Rockies pay $5 million of that. So if you did trade for Nolan Arenado and he signed through 2027, you trade for Nolan Arenado, you get a $5 million discount. You get a $15 million discount, as a matter of fact, on 3 years of those contract years. So that's not shabby. Thanks, Colorado. Throw in a bag of gummies. Anyway, that's what you got. Find that interesting. It's just something to keep in mind. Then you'd have control for a long period of time at a decent price for Nolan Arenado to play third base. In that deal, you're trading Alec Boehm, and that's if Cardinals look at you and say, "Well, give us Boehm," okay, you're giving us Nolan Arenado, Dunzo. That's not holding up that deal. I'll tell you that much. So that's where I'm at with that. But that's just another name that's out there. So Stott lead off, 1 through 5 hitters. I mentioned Alec Boehm if he's still here for the remainder of the season, hitting some home runs. That'd be nice. Mentioned Bryce Harper playing serviceable at first. What about the rotation? I know this might seem like I'm harping on the point, but I feel like it really matters. The idea that Aaron Nola has not had 2 good starts in a row this season, 2 great starts in a row this season, is horrifying. Because when he goes into his slumps, he's in his slumps. He is really in his slumps. When he goes into his slumps, he is an awful pitcher. You can talk about, all right. Yes, innings eater. I am comparing a guy that's supposed to be a 1 or a 2 in the rotation to a guy that's hanging on to the rotation. A guy that's the 5th starter in a rotation should be a guy that you could at least consistently rely on to eat innings. That is not a brag for a guy like Aaron Nola. But yet, that's the best part about his starts this season is that he eats innings. And yes, that's not nothing. That is still worthy of being a starting pitcher in Major League Baseball, especially nowadays. Just the fact that you eat innings consistently. But I don't just need you to show up for work. I need you to be productive. I don't need you just to work hard. I need you to work well. And yes, he's working hard. 6 innings, eating innings, that's great. In today's standard, that's eating innings. But in terms of going out there and having those 6, 7, 8 inning performances where you're only allowing 2 runs, at most 3 runs, he has not put those starts back to back at all this year. That is terrible for a guy like Aaron Nola. And I look at it from the perspective of you have seen him go out there and have starts and have seasons really where he has just been a dominant pitcher, and he's gotten his name mentioned in the Cy Young voting. He's been a top 3 guy when it's come to the Cy Young. He has been a dominant pitcher. For the fact that he can't even put together a good month, that of all things is horrifying. I love that he eats innings. That's fantastic. But when you talk about his 19 starts, you talk about an 8-6 record, talk about a 4.39 ERA. This is on pace right now for his 3rd worst ERA of his career. And you look at seasons that he's had where he has just not been able to get the ship right. So look at his 2nd year in the league, 4.78 ERA. That was the worst of his career. Then he bounces back as a full run less the following year in 2017. Then 237 in 2018, 3rd in the Cy Young voting that year. Then it bumps up to 387, then 328, then 463, then 325 like it was last year. 7th in the Cy Young voting, 6th in the Cy Young voting last year. And then this year, 439. He fluctuates. And the reason I bring it up is because when he goes into a bad run, he stays in that bad run. The Phillies are just out of the wild card spot. They're not going to solidify a wild card spot with any comfort until Aaron Nola shows you consistency, until Zach Wheeler shows you consistency as well. Bryce Harper shows that he can play first base. Whoever your left fielder is going to be, that he can play left field. They're not going to solidify a spot. They're still going to be sweating it out with 2 weeks left of the season as to whether or not they're going to make it. They could be sweating it out down to the last series of the season. Got to win 2 or 3 here, otherwise forget it. They're very capable. I'm not saying they're not capable. They're very, very capable of doing all of this. The biggest question mark for me going into the second half of the season is whether or not you get consistent pitching. I am more concerned about consistent pitching than I am whether or not Bryce Harper can play first base. Those are the two biggest questions. And I think one far outweighs the other. I've never even seen Bryce Harper play first base other than, the B-roll of him standing at first and fielding grounders and like cut off sleeves during, batting practice or whatever. Like, I haven't seen him play first base. I'm more concerned about Zach Wheeler and Aaron Nola being a steady, worthy 1-2 punch in any rotation. Now, maybe Taijuan Walker and Ranger Suarez are actually your best 1-2 punches. But even that, I think you're going to need a little bit more. Two guys in the first half of the season drastically underachieved in Aaron Nola and Zach Wheeler. Two guys drastically overachieved in the first half of the season in Ranger Suarez and Taijuan Walker, for the most part. Christopher Sanchez is going to be opening things up tonight. So you have the lefty on the hill for the Phillies tonight. Love to see how he starts things off against San Diego Padres. So I'll keep my fingers crossed that they're just all fine and dandy. Let me tell you about Steven Singer of Steven Singer Jewelers, the other corner of 8th and Walnut, right there on Jewelers Row. For over 40 years, Steven's been in the love business in Philadelphia, helping people get engaged and fall in love. Steven Singer Jewelers, one place, one price, perfect price, online at IHateStevenSinger.com. That's IHateStevenSinger.com. Let me tell you about the great people at Freestone Farm CBD, FreestoneFarmCBD.com. You like CBD? You use CBD? You want to try different types of CBD? Try Freestone Farm CBD at FreestoneFarmCBD.com. You'll love their tropical tasting Bayox that clocks in at a chart-topping 24.1%, and Super CBD, which is half Hindu, Kush, and 21%. Genetics of these guys are off the charts. So try Freestone Farm CBD at FreestoneFarmCBD.com. Let me tell you about the amazing people at Manscaped, the leader in below-the-waist grooming, for over 20 years. Joined 4 million men. Get my reeds crossed. Joined 4 million men worldwide. Join 4 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with their skin-safe technology that helps you reduce the risk of nicks so you can manscape with confidence and comfort. You'll love their Platinum Package 4.0, which includes their Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer, as well as their Weed Whacker ear and nose hair trimmer. And they come with skin-safe technology that, yes, helps you reduce the risk of nicks. So you can manscape with confidence and comfort. So check out Manscaped at manscaped.com. How about the incredible people at PHL Sports Nation, Philadelphia Sports Nation, enhancing your Philadelphia sports fan experience across all social media and blogs. That's phlsportsnation.com. Let's get into the chat check and started over on the Jacob Media YouTube page this morning. PWD, the God 10 build. Hello. Hi. Polo Joe, the Phillies still won't make the playoffs. What do you mean they still won't make the playoffs? They made the playoffs last year. Polo Joe, the Suxers suck. Point taken. Being that you call them the Suxers. Brian, the return of investment in a player like Juan Soto was a no-brainer. When you're as young as he is, even a $400 million contract isn't crazy. Love you, Mark. Love you back, Brian. No, you're exactly right. I 1,000% agree with that statement. Now, part of this is you still got to think of the business aspect of it, and you're not ignoring it, and you're bringing up $400 million. If you're going to have Trey Turner, Bryce Harper, and Juan Soto on this squad, you're talking about $300 million, $330 million, and then potentially $400 million. Holy God. In Juan Soto. So at some point, you're going to need to rely on some really young guys. So to get rid of Alec Bohm is your, I think, most reasonable trade commodity. Bryson Stott, you want him hanging on for as long as possible. You're already going to have a lot of money tied up here. So that's a concern. You need to keep as many of those guys around as possible so that you save money for 6 to 8 years of their MLB service time. That's the concern for me. So if you are going to have 400, 330, 300, that's a lot of money. You're going to have, what would it be? 10.3? That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. You're going to need those guys without the MLB service time. obviously. Where am I at? Back to the Farzy Show YouTube channel. What's up, guys? April, what's up, April? If we get Ohtani, I'll lose my mind, says April. I will lose my mind as well. When I used to do a crossover show with Al Morganti, and Shohei Ohtani's name was coming up left and right, hearing Al Morganti talk about, oh, I want Ohtani, you know, that Boston accent. He was talking about Ohtani before anybody was talking about Ohtani. Two people Al Morganti talked about before anybody talked about: Shohei Ohtani and Kate Upton. Those are the two people. I think even before she was on like SI swimsuit issue, Al Morganti knew about Kate Upton. Who's Kate Upton? Anyway, those are the two people I credit Al Morganti. He knew Shohei Ohtani, Kate Upton, did not know Dave Haxtell. I'll never forget that. So that's always fun. Kyle Schwarber, DH Turner, 6 Harper, 3 Soto, 9 Castellanos, 7 Real Muto, 2 Stott, 2 Bohm, 5 Stott, 4 Pache. What is happening here? Sean Kilrain threw me through a loop on that one. April, I'm excited. We got our tickets to the alumni game next month on the 13th. Oh, that's awesome. It's been a few years since our last Phillies game. Can't wait. April, that's great. Welcome back up. That'll be awesome. Sean Kilrain, imagine this lineup. Soto, who's only 24 years old. Oh, did I miss something from Fuji? Oh, the Nationals North? That's funny. Mihai Sanchez, good morning, all. I'd rather not dump the farm system for Ohtani or Soto. Yohan Rojas and Justin Crawford are future outfielders within 1 to 2 years. Homegrown looks better. Phillies reach 90 wins, make the playoffs in 2023. All right, Mihai. Love it. John Cheeseburger. Or Cheeseborough, sorry. John Cheeseborough, you old sandbagging SOB. Nice to see you. Mihai says the 2024 schedule looks fine. I already want it to be the 2024. John Cheeseborough, April saying hi, everybody. Love your Mihai. Love your plan. I'm here for it. Yeah, Mihai. I'm all about it, man. I like it. John Cheeseborough. Oh, making the declarations here. I want Harden gone as soon as possible. I don't want Morey thinking he's going to get this grand return for 11 billion-year-old James Harden. He's 11 billion years old. Sean Kilrain, I'm on board with that. Would be a potent lineup. It would be a potent lineup for the Phillies. April, I'm with you. I get him out of here. Sean Gillespie, Dame is a pipe dream for now. If they get him, it's on. I agree. I think Dame Lillard is a pipe dream. I'm not saying it's not a pipe dream. When I said I would give up Maxey for him, I'm not saying I think it's happening. I don't think it's happening. If you're asking me what I want the Sixers to do, I want the Sixers to run it with Maxey and Embiid next year. I want them to be the 1-2 punch. I want to see if you could build around maybe Maxey in a couple of years before you build around Embiid. When Embiid's skills start to diminish, maybe it becomes more of Maxey's team. Mihai, hello. Charlotte, unrelated, I'm going for those Entenmann ice cream sandwich cookies today. Let Walmart not have them. It's truly on. Oh, well, okay. You really have a hankering for some ice cream sandwiches. And if Walmart doesn't have them, you're going to throw down. Can I tell you this? So some of you guys know, I'm recently, within the last year, I started going to Costco. My wife was she was in a Costco family growing up. They always went to Costco. They were Costco this, Costco everything. We were in Sam's Club for a minute when I was a kid, and my mom didn't like that we wasted a lot of food. So that was the end of that. But went to Costco, and my wife got the big old box. We've hosted a lot of family over the last week, and we got the big old box of ice cream, like the ice cream bars, the ice cream sandwiches, all that stuff. And she put it in the grocery cart, and I went, "What are you doing?" And she goes, "Well, for the kids." I go, "Yeah, for the kids. They're going to eat 5 of these." And then every time I open the freezer, There they are, staring me right in the face, looking at me going, I bet you won't eat us all. And I'll be like, I'm going to eat you all. This is how it's going to happen. I've been good. That was a week ago. I've only eaten like 3. All the kids in our house in the last week have probably eaten 10. I've eaten 3. There's still a lot left. I have a lot of time to catch up. Boop. I don't want to go into training camp, let alone the season. The best thing they could do is get rid of him as fast as they can. I agree it's the best. That's the best thing they could do. I just don't think – I think that's such a far cry, though, for Morey that I'm not even going to go – I'm not even going to buy into it yet. Sean Kilrain, you give up talent to get that talent, if I'm correct, Farzy. In other words, droopy dog, oh, boy. Don't get me started. Don't put the quarter in the impressions machine. Sean Gillespie, Phillies weren't tampering. They were showing him the new Mission Impossible movie. Phillies weren't tampering there. Okay. They were in an intense game of phase 10. Sean Kilrain, Philly from the DR. My coworker from there said it's a 3.5-hour flight. So come on over, Soto. What's welcome in Spanish? Bienvenidos? I know Italian, it's bienvenuto. Bienvenidos? Is that welcome in Spanish? Anyway. I could get him for a package including Nola, Marsh, and prospects. You know, he'll be playing with his brother as well. Let's do that trade. Okay. Nola is just too inconsistent. I agree. Oh, April. I saw this while I was doing a read. Where is it? I don't think Nola has consecutive solid starts in him anymore. Ugh. John Cheeseburger, I go back to early June. Nola has an ace start against the Tigers, then gets rocked by the Dodgers. He's way too inconsistent. And I legit have to wonder if they're considering trading him before he walks. Not a terrible idea. But he better get a starting pitcher in return. Who's the Giuliotto of the White Sox? The Phillies actually faced him earlier in the season. He's had a very similar career to Aaron Nola, as a matter of fact. Up and down guys, so maybe they are trade partners, and maybe they both need to change the scenery. You know, that old argument. But here's the thing about that start against the Tigers, John. And I know he later got rung up for, well, there were 3 runs. They were unearned. But Tigers were one of the worst offenses of baseball at the time he faced them. That's the only thing I'll say about that's the only thing I'll say about that. John Cheeseburger, Nola is costing himself money. Yes, he is. Oh, thank you. All right. My bad. My bad on the comment says Sean Kilrain, his lineup that he gave me earlier. That was the line. I figured it was the lineup. It was all jumbled the way it came up here in the chat. Anyway, thanks to everybody in the chat. You guys are great as per usual. Let's get to the morning rush brought to you by Sky Motor Cars, skymotorcars.com. NJ Fishing Maniac. Right. Fish off. Sure. I'll have a fish off. Why not? Anyway, by the way, I have to say this. April, I saw the thing on social media you sent me about the fishing thing. That's a pretty incredible thing I saw on social media. The next best thing I saw was a guy that went tuna fishing, and he had like 20, maybe a whole group went tuna fishing, 20 tuna lined up, and they were all like pretty big, and he went through the line, and he was slapping their fins. He was going, good game, good game, good game, good game, good game, good game, good game. Gets to this ginormous tuna and just goes, bleep you. And then the rest of them, good game, good game, good game, good game. And I'm like, it's so wrong, but it's so funny. Anyway, Morning Rush brought to you by Sky Motor Cars, skymotorcars.com. Phillies resumed their second half schedule, or start off their second half schedule. Tonight, 6:05 start time. It'll be a left-handed pitcher on the man, Christopher Sanchez. He'll go against Yu Darvish. Christopher Sanchez comes into the ball game 0-2 in the season, but boasting a 2.84 ERA. He is coming off a 6-inning, 1-run, 4-hit performance against Tampa Bay Rays, in which the Phillies won 3-1 in 11 innings. He has gone 12 innings combined in his last 2 starts, allowing just 2 runs. So how about that? Yu Darvish comes into this ballgame 5-6 on the season with a 4.87 ERA. The 36-year-old right-handed pitcher. He is coming off a start where he allowed 3 runs on 7 hits in 5 innings against the New York Metropolitans. He has allowed, wow, holy Lord, over his last 4 starts, he has allowed 4 runs, 6 runs, 4 runs, 3 runs. Woo, baby. He has allowed 17 runs in his last 4 starts. He's gone at least 5 innings in all of them, and he has doled out a couple of walks as well. The strikeout numbers are also down for Yu Darvish. So handle y'all business. Philadelphia 76ers, ladies and gentlemen, took on the Atlanta Hawks all-star squad. Jaden Springer out there yesterday. Trevon Smith also helping out. They combined for 49 points in their Summer League loss to the Hawks. Jaquavion Smith was out there just looking athletic, hitting some threes. Jaden Springer doing the same thing. They were having themselves a time. Jaden Springer, though, was the leading scorer in the game. He had a game-high 29 points. He was 8 of 16 from the floor. He was pretty damn good yesterday. Second quarter of yesterday's game, Jaden Springer had a nice little hezzy, dribble drive penetration between the legs, top of the key to the cup to knock down 2. And then in the third quarter, coast to coast, grabbed the rebound, went the length of the court, took on 3 defenders, got the end one, finishing off that layup. So one of the things you got to see from Jaden Springer, continue to finish around the rim, improve that 3. Defense is coming. He's a good defender. Offensive game is what you're a little bit more concerned about, adding that versatility. So one thing that you can take away is just from the I don't like reading too much in the summer league play, but it does show you what a guy's been working on. And he certainly looks like he's been working on a lot of his game. I think he's making the squad. I think he's going to be coming off the bench for the Sixers and try to help them win this year. He will, I think, be up and down a little bit, but I think he's going to make the squad. And they'll need it. They'll need more guard play. You got 4 setters. You're going to need some guards to help you out here, and you're not making any other acquisitions. So that's my prediction there. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. You guys are great. As per usual, I will be back with you guys tonight on the Jacob Media YouTube channel for the Phillies and Padres after their 6:05 start time, as I mentioned, with Christopher Sanchez on the hill. So look forward to talking to you guys then. So make sure you guys on the Jacob Media YouTube channel, you guys are bouncing back here tonight, following the Phillies and Padres opening up their 4-game series in the 7-game homestand for the Phillies after the All-Star break. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. My name is Mark Farzy. This is the Farzy Show presented by Steven Singer of Steven Singer Jewelers. Jim Hyden produced the program, did a wonderful job as per usual. Thank you guys. Be back with you guys on the Jacob Media YouTube channel tonight and back with you guys on the Farzy Show YouTube channel on Monday. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. See ya.